Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Growing Orchids in Jamaica, where I share with you just how I grow my orchids in Jamaica. In case you're new, please hit that subscribe button so you see just how I grow orchids in Jamaica. It's that time of year, guys, when the Cymbidium orchids are in bloom and are at their best. And so today I want to share with you just how I divide and repot my Cymbidium orchids. If you want to see how I do that, why don't you just stay tuned? It's actually a very windy day, but nevertheless, I'm going to be showing you just how I pot and divide my Cymbidium orchids. So the Cymbidium orchids are terrestrial plants, so they grow very well in soil or a mixture of soil with bark and other things. This one here, I have it in a repurpose bowl here, and this one is a very easy grower. It grows very easy for us here in Jamaica. It's the Cymbidium golden elf, and I tell you, this one is just a prolific bloomer. It blooms for the entire year, and it just really knows how to put on a good show. These are some other ones that I recently planted, and of course they are taking their time to become established. What I realized with them, they like their roots to be matted, and so they do better, or you'll get better blooms from them when they are. So when you're going to be repotting them, it is best to repot them actually when they are finished flowering. But this one that I'm going to be repotting today, it's really bursting in its seam. The pot is actually filled and actually is changing shape because of the amount of buds and roots that are in it. And if you notice here, it is also bursting the pot. And so I'm going to be repotting this one. It has on just one spike right here. And so because it's really a big pot and it didn't put on any spectacular show this year, but nevertheless, I'm going to be showing you just how I'm going to repot it. This one is in a smaller pot, and it too has on just one spike. I got this as a division some time ago, and it blooms for me every year. This is another one here. This one is a first-time bloomer for me. I actually got a small division of it about 2 years ago, and it is actually now blooming for the first time. So it just gave me one spike this time around, and there it is. The flowers are really old, and so the color has faded a little bit, but nevertheless, it is a beautiful one. I seem to have a number of pots of this one, and actually it is the same one that I'm gonna be dividing up in a little while. So there it is, guys. That's another beauty. It has on another spike here with some flower buds that are just about opening up. They have been blooming for some time now for me, but somehow I've just decided to highlight them. This one is a very big one. The bulbs are really big, and this one to me looks like one of the coal-loving Cymbidium, and it has been blooming for me for some time now, so it's really going off. Have another one that somehow I thought was a division of this one, but when I look at the flower, it is somewhat different. So this one, guys, I don't know why I thought it was a division of the one I just showed you, but look at it. Isn't that different? Yes, it is different. When you look at the lips, it has a little bit of wine red in it, and the color is actually deeper. So it's actually a deeper greenish yellowish color. However, when you look at the plant itself, it is so huge. Let me see if I can get closer and show you how huge the bulbs are. 3 bulbs of this is too big for one of my usual 6-inch pot. So this one I have to put into nothing less than a 10. I think this is a 12-inch pot that I have this one in. So it's a very huge plant. So here are most of my Cymbidiums. Most of them are not in bloom at this time, but I'm sure as we go along throughout the season, I'm going to start seeing more and more of them blooming. They grow so easily, guys. I hardly do anything to them once they're potted, as it is right now, because they grow so easily. They get very clustered very quickly, and so as it is right now, I need to extend the area that I have them. I literally grow them semi-shaded. They get some sun, but they are shaded by a palm tree that I have, so they are not in the full direct sunlight. So this is what is happening here with my Cymbidiums. So I'm gonna pull that one out and I'm gonna show you just how I do the division and just how I repot it. So guys, I am actually gonna be showing you exactly how I mix a material to repot the Cymbidium orchid. So right here, you would have noticed that I have some soil here, and this is actually the bauxitic soil that we have here in Manchester, Jamaica, and that is exactly what I'm going to be using. I'm going to add to that some gravel, also some charcoal, and of course I'm going to be adding some peat mix. And this is a premium potting mix that I will be adding to it as well. And what I have over here is just a little bit of peanut trash. And all of these, what they do is actually lightens the soil, because while it doesn't mind being moist, most of the time it still likes to have proper drainage and run out a bit. So this is the red soil that we get here. This is what we plant our yam and our vegetables and stuff in Manchester. To this, I'm now gonna incorporate some of my river stones. Then I'm gonna add the charcoal. Of course, this will help with drainage, and of course, you know, Cymbidium orchids like when it actually drains out, even though it likes a little moisture in it. Then I'm gonna add my premium potting mix, which has in it perlite, peat humus, and some Canadian sphagnum moss. I also added a little peanut trash and so a small amount of organic manure, because of course you want to sort of boost the plant. So but this, what I learned, or what I recognize, is that the Cymbidium orchids really don't like too much of the organic manure, so you have to really use it sparingly. I added all of these just to ensure that the soil is lightened, and all in all, to provide the plant with proper drainage. You want the mix to be light and really porous, so when you water, it will retain a little bit of moisture, but it will also drain properly. And that's why, especially the larger things that I add, the charcoal, the gravel, and so forth, you know, these will help to provide little pockets in it and will help in terms of the drainage. So this is now ready, guys, to plant my Cymbidium orchids. So this is a plant that I'm going to be cutting up, and notice how large it is. Oh yes, it is going to be a challenge because this plant has been in this pot for a number of years. It's first thing. Now look at this. I may just have to cut this pot to get this plant out because of the powerful rooting system that it has right now. If you notice, guys, how matted the roots are, and of course this is typical of the Cymbidium orchids. And what I find, when the roots are like this is when it does very well in terms of blooming and so forth for me. And therefore what I realize, it really doesn't like to be overpot. Here, some of the roots have actually been rotting, and so it really is a good time to really repot it or divide it up. A rule of thumb when you're dividing these plants, it is important to have no less than 3 bulbs. You can use less, but when you pot them with less than 3 bulbs, they literally take a longer time to become established. And so when I am dividing it, I try not to have less than 3 bulbs. So based on what is here, there I get my first division from it. So remember, you need at least 3 bulbs. So I'm gonna pot this one and show you exactly how I pot it. So of course we clean up the roots and remove all the rotten roots. So this is practically ready for potting. I like to plant them in pots with a little depth. And when I'm planting, I am planting it to ensure that wherever I have the new growth, that is actually in the center of the pot. I could remove this because since it has already bloomed off, or I could stake it. It is here and it is still beautiful. But if you want the plant to become established very quickly, it may be best to remove it. And of course, you tap it because you want the soil to be settled in it. So I have potted most of them, and I'm now about to pot the last one. So I'm gonna be removing most of the dead roots. So it's just simply cutting the roots off. And even if you cut some of the good roots, it's quite fine because this time of the year, because it's spring, it will actually start rooting very quickly. As a matter of fact, if these plants get really good quality care, then they will bloom for the next blooming season, which is November, December, somewhere thereabout. See, I'm putting the old bulb closer to the edge of the pot, and then the section where I think the new growth is gonna come, I put that to the center of the pot. And then I fill the pot with soil. However, of note, you don't want to cover the bulbs with the mixture, but just ensure that the entire plant rooting system has enough medium. But I noticed with potted, and because when you overpot them, these plants, they really don't like to be overpotted. And because when you overpot them, take a longer time to become established and to bloom for you. But I'm sure a plant like this, for the next year, you perhaps will have to repot it because they tend to have hefty rooting system, and so they will fill this pot up very quickly. And because of the size pot too, it perhaps will bloom for me by the next blooming season. From that one pot that I have, I actually got 6 plants. So I am hoping that within a few months they will start blooming. So there they are. I don't have the ID for it though, unfortunately. I don't have the ID. However, I am gonna label them and so that I know that they are all the same thing. So guys, if you enjoyed watching this video, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And so you never miss another one of my YouTube videos, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet done so. And as we say in Jamaica, just follow back on me. This is the Orchid Duck, and I am growing orchids in Manchester, Jamaica. Thank you so much for watching.